Build professional skills this semester with Adobe Creative Cloud and create standout work both in and out of the classroom. Save big on professional creativity tools. Students get 65% off Adobe Creative Cloud, including Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, Acrobat Pro, and 20+ creative apps. No matter what project you're working on, Adobe Creative Cloud apps can help you take it to the next level. Visit adobe.com/student to learn more.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WNBC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Well, I know you don't always appreciate what you have until it's gone, but I don't think that's any more true in any case than when it comes to the New York City mayor. It seemed like a whole bunch of New Yorkers were ready to be done with Rudy Giuliani, and then Bloomberg came in and he raised property taxes and cut services and did all this other stuff. Then after 3 terms of Bloomberg and him going through overturning term limits and hiding the baby formula and trying to ban soda and all that other stuff, having Kathy Black as his school's chancellor and all that other stuff, everyone said, oh, let's be done with Bloomberg, done with Bloomberg. Then Bill de Blasio comes in and people are saying, oh, bring back Bloomberg, bring back Bloomberg. Well, now you get the feeling that New Yorkers are just about done with Eric Adams on the whole. And I have a feeling that if the rumors are true about who the next mayor might be, New Yorkers are going to be saying, please bring back Eric Adams, bring back Eric Adams. Headline in yesterday's New York Post, Andrew Cuomo's confidants are, quote, spreading the word of his run for mayor as Adams faces mounting investigations. Supporters of ex-Governor Cuomo are spreading the word that he's running for mayor, and this includes the CEO of a prominent investment banking firm who's told other corporate honchos who'll donate to campaigns that the fallen ex-governor will make a comeback bid for New York City mayor next year. I don't know where to begin. Well, I mean, we could begin by mentioning so many of the terrible things that he did as governor. His constant, petty, and public bickering with the mayor of New York City. We can mention his divisive rhetoric, making clear that conservatives had no place in New York State when he didn't want pro-life people or pro-gun people living here. We could talk about abusing the message of necessity to bypass the public, including on the SAVE Act. We could talk about him killing off New York's minor parties and making New York the worst state in the entire country for voter choice. We could talk about the rampant corruption that went on in his administration, seeing several of his closest government cronies go to prison. We could talk about making New York more reliant on fossil fuels by his closing of Indian Point. And I could keep going. I haven't even gotten to COVID. But Governor David Paterson spoke to City and State yesterday. Governor Paterson is a regular guest on this show and a friend, and said that Governor Cuomo admitted to him when they had lunch earlier this year that he'd rather be governor than mayor. Does New York really want a guy that views the most important job in this city as a consolation prize? Come on. This is absurd. I hope New Yorkers, regardless of their political stripes, will join together to say no to Cuomo.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor, or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com. The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WNBC.
Local Spotlight.
Good Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. You know, it's no secret that New York judges wield an incredible amount of power. But recently, we've learned that some of that power is being misused in ways that can make your jaw drop. A new report from Scrutinize, a judicial transparency group, has revealed that over 400 state cases since 2007 have been undermined or overturned because New York judges allowed illegal evidence to be used at trial. Yes, you heard me right. Illegal evidence. Imagine getting pulled over for failing to stop at a stop sign, only to have cops rummage through your belongings, find something, and boom, you're convicted using evidence that never should have seen the light of the day. And the kicker? In many of these cases, appellate judges later said, wait a minute, that evidence was obtained unlawfully. The defendant's rights were violated, but by that time, a conviction had already been secured, and I'm not talking about a handful of cases here. This is systemic. More than 150 of these cases were thrown out because the evidence was so tainted, there wasn't enough left to even justify a conviction. So, what's going on here? Well, the problem seems to be that a lot of these judges come from a very specific background. They're often former prosecutors or cops. And while that might sound like a good thing because they know the system, it's not always helpful when you're supposed to be an impartial arbiter of justice. There's this implicit bias, whether they mean it or not, that favors law enforcement. And before you know it, evidence that should be tossed out is getting waved right through. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a pretty serious problem. Here's an idea. Maybe it's time we rethought how we pick out judges in New York. What if we opened up the bench to people from a broader range of backgrounds? In some places, they even allow non-lawyers to serve as judges. And before you scoff at that idea, think about this. Someone with experience in social work or community advocacy might bring a much-needed perspective to the bench. After all, it's not just about knowing the law. It's about understanding people and their rights. Clearly, the system we've got isn't working. Over 200 judges in New York have been caught allowing illegal evidence into trials, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. We need to think outside the box and introduce more diversity, not just in race or gender, but in life experience. I'm talking about a judiciary that looks more like the people they serve and less like an extension of the DA's office. Because if we can't trust the judges to uphold the law, who can we trust? And really, if the rules don't apply to everyone, do we even have a justice system at all? Think about it.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Let's talk tasers. You know those so-called non-lethal devices that are supposed to subdue a suspect with an electric shock, offering officers a safer alternative to guns? But here's the reality. They often don't work as advertised. Take the NYPD, for example. According to the department's own data, tasers have failed roughly 40% of the time since their widespread adoption. Think about that. That's right. In almost half the cases, these devices either didn't hit the target properly, didn't penetrate thick clothing, or in some cases, just fell right off. Now, when you've got a person actively resisting or moving, which is usually the case in these confrontations, the effectiveness drops even further. Imagine that. We saw that with that recent subway shooting in Brooklyn. We've seen 2 high-profile cases in New York where tasers were used and failed. In one incident, a man at the Sutter Avenue subway station in Brownsville was hit with a taser. What did he do? He pulled the prong out like it was nothing, leading officers to use their firearms. Tragic? Absolutely. Preventable? Maybe. if they had something more reliable at their disposal. So if tasers have this sort of failure rate and often escalate situations instead of calming them down, why are we still relying on them? Are they worth the $2.2 million in federal funding for new tasers earlier this year? Or is it time to reassess the situation? Now, I get it. The idea behind tasers is noble. Non-lethal options are critical in policing, and officers need tools to de-escalate dangerous situations without reaching for their guns. But when a device fails as often as this, 40% failure rate, remember, it becomes less of a solution and more of a liability. A failed taser can push an already volatile situation into the realm of life and death. The question is, should we be exploring better options? Maybe more effective technologies or techniques that don't hinge on whether someone's wearing a thick jacket. Or perhaps more emphasis on de-escalation tactics like time, distance, and communication, as some police experts suggest. I don't know the solution, but I do know that tasers have failed too often to be the go-to non-lethal de-escalation tool they're supposed to be. It's time to reconsider whether tasers are truly doing the job they were meant to. And if they're not, let's stop pretending they are before more lives are needlessly put at risk.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WNBC.
Local Spotlight.
If you've ever taken a bus in New York City, you know the pain of sitting in traffic while someone's double parked in the bus lane like they own the place. But good news, folks, change is coming, and it's packing cameras. The MTA is rolling out automated camera enforcement systems on 1,000 buses by the end of this month. That's right, 1,000. So if you're one of those drivers who likes to treat bus lanes like your personal parking spot, watch out. You could soon be getting a nice letter in the mail, and it won't be fan mail. For the first 60 days, violators will receive warnings, but after that, it's going to cost you. Tickets start at $50, but if you're a repeat offender, those fines could climb up to $250. Ouch. This system has already been working on 14 bus routes, and the results are pretty impressive. Speeds have increased by 5%, collisions are down by 20%, and emissions have dropped by up to 10%. That's a win-win for both commuters and the environment. Now, I take the bus regularly myself, and let me tell you, nothing is more frustrating than a bus delay because someone decided the bus lane was the perfect place to drop off groceries or catch up on texts. These ACE cameras are designed to put an end to that. And it's about time. With clear signage indicating where these camera-enforced routes are, drivers have no excuse. The message is simple. Stay out of the bus lane unless you want a pricey reminder. So if you're a driver in New York, take note. This isn't about avoiding fines. It's about keeping the buses moving and making sure we can all get where we need to go on time. For the rest of us on the bus, buckle up, because smoother commutes could be just around the corner. And remember, as of September 30th, more routes will be added to this ACE system. So if you're used to parking in the bus lane, maybe it's time to rethink your strategy, or at least enjoy another week or two of a last hurrah, a grand finale of parking where you want to park. Let's all keep the roads clear and the buses rolling. Let me also remind you, if you want to style and profile with a great Frank Morano hat on the bus, you can go to WABCRadiostore.com. That's WABCRadiostore.com and purchase yourself a brand spanking new Frank Morano cap.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.